Bring the Triton High School School Board meeting to order for March 24th, 2025. Please rise for this pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognition of visitors, open forum.
I did not have any requests.
Okay, there were no requests to speak. Moving on to number 4, approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Lloyd, second by Jim. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Cobra Pride.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight this young lady because not only was she the athlete of the week, she was also recognized as the girls wrestler of the year by the Post Bulletin. She was our first state champ and she's in 7th grade. What an amazing accomplishment. So I just wanted to highlight Adriana Coons and talk to her mom and let her know that her name is going to go on the board out in front, and congratulated her on her amazing accomplishment.
Oh, it's really cool. All right, moving on, approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Brian, second by Jim. That work? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business. 7.1, discuss approve resolution appointing Bond Trust Services Corporation as fiscal agent in connection with certain outstanding obligations.
You want to speak to that at all, Amy?
We're just basically changing vendors that handles our debt service.
And who handled it previously, Amy?
US Bank.
Okay,
And then, Baker Tilly, sorry.
gotcha.
So yeah, now we're switching to Ellers and their services, they're awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Been great to work with.
I'll make a motion to approve 7.1.
Second.
Motion by Rebecca, second by Dale. This is a resolution, so we'll do a roll call vote. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, yes, and Wendy, yes. 7.2, discuss approve resolution authorizing the district to enter into a line of credit agreement with a financial institution.
And basically, this is just entering an agreement, so we have the ability to get a line of credit if we need money to pay the bills. I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Lloyd. Again, we'll do a roll call vote. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, yes, Wendy, yes. 7.3, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Ellie Heimer, a probationary teacher.
Second.
Motion by Lloyd, second by Brian. Roll call vote is Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, yes, and Wendy, yes. 7.4, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Lisa Chickus, a probationary teacher.
Second.
Motion by Dale, second by Brian. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know who over there said that. Motion by Jim, second by Brian. Again, roll call vote. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, yes, and Wendy, yes. 7.5, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Morgan Ruvers, a probationary teacher.
Second.
Motion by Dale, second by Rebecca to approve 7.5. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, yes, and Wendy, yes. 7.6, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Katie Nold, a probationary teacher. So
Second.
motion by Rebecca, second by Lloyd. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, yes, and Wendy, yes. 7.7, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Katie Fitzgerald, a probationary teacher. Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Brian. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. And Wendy, yes. 7.8, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Jesse Mays, a probationary teacher.
So moved.
Oh, is that? That's what I thought. Motion by Dale, second by Jim. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Wendy, yes, and Rebecca. Yes. Did I get you? Did I say you on that
I
one?
only get one mistake.
Oh my gosh. All right. 7.9, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of John Hager, a probationary teacher.
So moved.
Motion by Lloyd, second by Jim. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. And Wendy, yes. 7.10, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Jill Luderman, a probationary teacher. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Rebecca, second by Lloyd. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. And Wendy, yes. 7.11, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Christine Dietz, probationary teacher.
I'll move. Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Dale. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. And Wendy, yes. 7.12, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Olivia Schwaska, a probationary teacher. So moved.
Aye.
Motion by Rebecca, second by Jim. Lloyd. Lloyd,
Aye.
Brian,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. And Wendy, yes. 7.13, discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Caroline Otto, a probationary teacher.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Lloyd, second by Jim. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. Wendy, yes. Discuss approve resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Julie Fox, a probationary teacher. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Rebecca, second by Jim. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes. And Wendy, yes. 7.15, discuss approve resolution proposing placement of Callan Knott, a tenured teacher, on unrequested leave of absence.
Could we speak on that one? Or I guess I'm not sure what that one is regarding.
Unrequested leave is different when they're a tenured teacher. If they're tenured, you put them on unrequested leave. So if there was an open position, they would be able to come back in that position if there was an opening. Versus a probationary teacher, they don't have tenured rights.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Dale. Brian,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Dale,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rebecca, and Wendy, yes. 7.16, discuss approve 2024-2025 revised budget.
So I'm just gonna go through a summary of the revisions that we made to the budget for the current year. I know you're familiar with this, the PowerPoint, I haven't changed much, so. Starting with enrollment, so we did the original budget, we started with 884. And based on and that was, based on our projections back in June. This is where we're at now, we're at 863, so we did have to revise our state aid amounts based on what our current enrollment is right now.
We started the year at 886.
So it just. Kind of the way the year's gone.
Next one?
Yep, go ahead. So just starting on the revenue side, kind of the summaries of what's going on here, so. Not a lot of adjustments, from the original budget, other than obviously the state aid piece because of enrollment. We did get 2% from last year. We, did have a small decrease in our operating capital funding. We did have a decent increase in our special education funding, which kind of offset, the enrollment decline, so that was helpful. I mean, helpful in a way. Not helpful in another way, which I'll get to on the other slide. And then we also did have some new mandates this year for the READ Act, some additional summer unemployment, and then some para training that we're required to do. So, and then also we discussed before, our CARES funding was gone this year. So from last year, that's a decrease of about 230,000. But overall, our revenue actually did go up a little bit just based on those state aid numbers of about 57,000. So that was helpful.
Excellent.
Yeah, go ahead. So expense changes from the original budget that we created last June. Our expenses have gone up about 426,000. So a big chunk of that is, again, like I mentioned earlier, special education. It's kind of a guess what our needs are gonna be, and when we got to the fall, our needs were higher. And I mean, just, it's based on the kids that come in. And so we had the need to hire some more paras. That was not in the original budget. So that constitutes a big portion of the increase. And then the additional piece was a new mandate, from the MDE for paras, for special education paras. In order to receive special education funding for those paras, they have to be highly qualified. So it's based on their education, their experience, or additional testing and training that they do. And so once they reach that highly qualified, then they're eligible for additional compensation as well. So contracted services were down about 60,000 overall, but we did again see some increases with those services with special education in certain areas. So that's kind of where expenses are. What happened there?
And the revenue that was set aside by the legislature to cover unemployment won't cover this year. It'll be gone. It won't cover half of it. And I don't know that the state is going to be able to. They're talking about cutting education at this point, so just something to be aware of.
So just looking at the overview on just the general fund, so this is kind of where we're at right now. We are looking at a fund balance overall, at the end of the year of about 332,000, which is a net change of about 466,000 deficit. Our original adopted budget, we were forecasting a deficit of about 45,000. So obviously this is a jump from that, but based on those changes that we need to meet for special education. So just on the unassigned piece, we started the year with a fund balance of about 3.87%. We're projecting right now to end the year about 1.03%, just in the unassigned. So all of our, and you can see below that, all of our reserve funding categories. Obviously, we're going to look at maximizing those funds first before we touch the unassigned. But at the same time, our funding for those is going down a little bit, and those are being depleted as well. So LTFM and operating capital still are holding on okay, and we'll keep those for projects that are needed. We use operating capital for curriculum as well, so that's important that we kind of maintain that. But yeah, and all the other pieces below that essentially are used for student programs. So those are our essential needs. Down at the bottom, actually, I'll jump to medical assistance. So that's another category that we're trying to utilize, maximize that as well, because we can use that for higher needs special education students. So we're kind of focusing on that one too to help out. And the four down at the bottom, the library aides, support personnel, and those two read act ones, those are all new mandates. Library aid and student support personnel started last year. The read act is new this year. So we'll see. Yeah, and we'll see what legislature does with all of those going forward.
The governor proposed to cut that 40,000 too.
But
That's in his proposed budget to
library
cut that
piece.
as well.
yeah, the library piece is in his proposal to cut. Special education is in there as well. What else? Yeah,
Those are the big ones.
those are the big ones, yeah.
Next,
Yeah, I can find. And then this last slide just kind of touches on all the other funds. Food service has a very nice fund balance. It's kind of due to COVID and then now free meals for all students. It's really helped our fund balance. Unfortunately, we can only use it for very specific food service items at this point. So kind of just delegate it to the kitchen only. They have expanded to the lunchroom a little bit, but very limited, so, yeah. We kind of gotta have our hands tied there for a little bit, but let's see. And then community ed. Just the general portion, they're kind of building their fund balance back up, which is great. Early childhood and school readiness this year at least are looking at a little bit of deficit, but that's, it's kind of a good thing because we've been bringing in more students, so. Eventually that'll kind of turn around if that continues. Build up more revenue. And then adult basic ed is doing great. Debt service is kind of an in and out. Our funding comes in just based on what we're gonna owe that year, for our debt pieces. And then scholarship fund too is just kind of what we got for scholarships in a certain year, so. Kind of a wash. Run down, I know it's a lot. It's on our minds a lot, we're doing a lot of thinking, planning, so.
for what it's worth, I have gotten some really good feedback on the articles that I've written. Explaining why this is
Yeah.
the way it is. The unfunded mandates are. They're killing us. They're
Yeah.
killing everybody.
Really.
Any questions? Hard to believe when we had an $18 billion surplus.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully that's that.
We need to put that.
I think so. It's on there or something. Do we have a motion to approve the revised 2024-2025 budget? That's a
I'll sign.
motion by Rebecca, second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 717, discuss approved students to attend an overnight trip for the FFA State Convention, April 28th through 29th, 2025.
Mr. Ickler and Ms. Fitzgerald are at the Region Awards tonight, so Corey was gonna give you kind of the update.
Yeah, I've got a good rundown from Mr. Ickler and Ms. Fitzgerald. So our FFA students are planning to attend the state convention from Sunday, April 27th to Tuesday, April 29th on the U of M campus. They'd be staying in a Best Western hotel that's close to campus there. Mr. Ickler and Ms. Fitzgerald will both be in attendance. And students participating will be participating in the Best Informed Green Hand team, the choir, the delegates, and then just the proficiency finalists that we have with both Emma Kruckerberg and Brady Staub that have been highlighted for their applications. So they're asking for your approval and hope that everything will go well.
Second. Motion by Lloyd, second by Rebecca. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Black. 718, discuss approve students to attend an overnight trip to attend the BPA National Convention in Orlando, Florida, May 6th through 11th, 2025.
Hi, yes. So we have 13 students now that have qualified, and then we have a couple other family members that are coming with. We'll be taking 2 separate groups. One is going by plane, one is going by train, and there will also be automobiles. No. It'll be automobiles this weekend, but yeah, we have some that will be taking the train and some that will be taking the plane as we split our group, but yeah, we have a record breaking year with our attendees, so that's very excited. We are in Champions Gate Omni. It's a new facility. It's not the main hotel that the competition will be at, but they shuttle back and forth. It's on a Disney property. So or Tina gets to travel with us.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Brian. Any questions, comments? All in favor of 718, excuse me, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations on another great.
Thank you.
Yeah, very.
There's our good news.
Props to our kids.
719, discuss policy updates.
Yeah, so I will start with some of the, they've sent out a couple of mid legislative session updates, so I'll focus on those. I don't know if you want me to start with another section. Or. We've kind of been working through the 500s, but
Mhm.
the one thing is, once you start getting into because we've done up through 400, I think once you get to the 500, this starts getting really big. So, I'll maybe just chunk that out and, put those in there for review. That sound good?
Yep,
Okay.
that fine. 720, student council report, Corey.
Alright, so a while back in February, we provided some nachos for the girls Gopher Conference Championship and the boys first playoff game, something we've never done before, so probably something we're gonna keep doing. And then we had Snow Week, it went pretty well. And then our advisor, Christy Faber, was Citizen of the Year this year, so we just thank her for everything that she does. We love her, so. And then yesterday, actually, we had our pancake breakfast, and we were able to raise $1,500 for a family in our community. I think in the past we've done other fundraisers for like Relay for Life, but I think doing a more local fundraising for a local cause is I think a little bit more. Relay for Life is a good cause, but I think this is something we're gonna do in the future, just I think, because so people know where their money's going to and stuff like that. So yeah, everything went really well.
Any questions for Corey?
Anything coming up for the end of the school year?
Yeah, so I think we haven't done this ever before, but I think it's in the works. We haven't really talked about it too much yet, but we want to try to do like an outdoor movie of some sort. In the parking lot or whatever maybe, so something we're talking about, but so,
Thanks, Corey.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
721 Zed report.
Okay, we had a meeting last Thursday. We had a pretty good turnout of parents, teachers and little kids, but had to do with the budget restructuring the ALC. I handed out a little information on it. The ALC has generally been running at a deficit, partially because their numbers just don't fund the whole program. And they've been okay with that because they have a fund balance, but it's getting to the point, it's getting too much. So they had to do something, and what they came up with was combining the leadership with the principal of the AOC. And transition to success and the son and future, future century, anyway. And they're calling it the Director of Alternative / Special Education Programs. And part of it does come up with, because the ALC is coming up to 40% special needs students now too. So anyway, the principal was, Amy Rice is gonna oversee that whole program. Or all 3 programs. Anyway, and then
They're also, Pat Ames came back part-time, but they're reducing their cabinet from 5 to 3.
he was helping out, for someone, maybe.
And that's where they kind of came up with that 425,000 in savings.
And they're struggling too with the state making changes to their funding and so, And then, they're looking at what's coming up is they're looking at a new insurance carrier. Potentially, they have Medica right now. And they're 19% increase looking at. And so they're looking at Blue Cross Blue Shield, which they have had in the past. A couple, 3 years ago or so, 3 or 4 years ago. Anyway, they're looking at a 5% increase. They haven't worked out all the details there yet. Then they're looking at potentially raising, well, it's probably gonna happen. The cooperative aid right now. Each district pays $6.50 per pupil. And they want to raise that to $7.50. It helps pay the electrical, the basically the non-special ed, the utilities, some of the stuff that doesn't get billed back to districts and special ed stuff. Craig could probably, they're starting a consortium.
Yeah, they're gonna start a Title III consortium so they can actually get funding because nobody as an individual district can get it by themselves, so they're going to do it, but that would allow us to be able to get some revenue back. Because if we combine all 6 districts together, we would be able to get something back.
And it sounds like they're even considering taking on some other districts to get
More.
And then the upcoming dates, AOC graduation is Wednesday, the 28th. Futures and Sun Awards are June 2nd. Oh, the graduation is at 4:00. The Futures and Sun Awards is Monday, June 2nd at 10 a.m. Activity Day is here at Triton, Friday, May 9th at 10 o'clock. The extended school year programming is at Casson and Stewartville. And that's from June 10th to the 30th. And the AOC Summer School is June 10th. The same, June 10th to the 30th. And then the ZED Science Fair is April 3rd at Casson. And they are having the Summer Academy also, but they didn't. It sounds like that's gonna be shortly after school's out. He didn't put it on the list, and so he didn't remember when it was. They're still doing it. I guess. Any question?
Ooh, I got a question. So this letter here from AB. She makes some good points about, I guess, funding and whatnot, but I mean, we face funding deficits here did she have something? An ulterior plan besides getting rid of the principal that she says they need?
Well, and remember, this letter was written to the Zed board. Regarding what Zed was doing. And we're a part of Zed. And in talking with their director, he just felt that it would be more detrimental to cut the staffing at this point than rearranging the administration.
And I mean, she makes good points, but I mean. We have it, I mean, everybody's facing.
Everybody's cutting.
I mean,
Nobody wants to, but we all have to. And it comes down to,
Well, we did have some discussion later in the meeting. About. Is it gonna really affect the students that much? Because there still is gonna be the principal there. It's just, part of it is. It's the person they've had, they know. And they do know the other person. But they're used to, and especially in special ed, change is tough. So, I guess. Like Rick said, they felt better keeping the staff together. Because if they let a staff go, then it's online, or they got, yeah.
we all have
There's
to
only
make,
one teacher teaching a subject.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're.
like I said,
I mean, it's,
we had
I mean, it's tough here, but I mean, obviously, like, I mean, those kids.
I know of 2 schools in our area that are not cutting it. 2, and that's out of about 30. So for a record year, which they claimed after the last legislative session, record year of funding, it was a record year of spending. It was not a record year of funding. It's like I told somebody, it's like if I told you I was going to give you a new car, but you have to pay 40,000 for it.
Well,
It's not really giving me a new car.
put that in your letter too. I mean,
Well, Zed's trying to realize that they depend on the 6 districts that are a part of them. And if they're all having trouble, I mean, they gotta be careful too on how they operate.
I don't think I would agree with paying $7 per student when we're cutting so much like this.
It's,
Where's it gonna come from?
well, at one time, it was quite a bit higher. But that's the only way they have of raising money. I guess is the county does, but it's for the utility, yeah, well,
We don't have a way of raising money because we rely on the state, federal government and local taxpayers.
and they rely on us. But, well, it's to be, did you discuss it at all at your meeting? Yeah. It isn't a done deal yet.
No.
But,
And Patrick's very aware of all of us being in the situation we're in, and he said it's probably not an ideal time to ask, and we all agreed that, no, it's probably not a really good time to ask. But I don't know. He did talk about not doing it this next fiscal, but maybe down the road and not doing it right away, but he just said overall that the amount they haven't they've charged hasn't changed in 15 years, and it's like, I get it. But I also get that we have a budget that is pretty tight as well.
but for us, it would be less than $1,000. Right?
Yeah, it's per student that is using the program.
I thought it was overall. Cause it's like a $10,000.
Yeah, I don't know that he's got that finalized.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, he's throwing it out there to see what,
He tested the waters with the question. Any questions on the Z report?
'22 AD report.
Good evening, everybody. I've got an opportunity to highlight a bunch of students today and I'm pretty excited about it. So, the musical is, this Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Corey Lildahl is playing a huge role in it, so some awesome time to go check him out. Runs at 7 p.m. Thursday through Saturday. From what I've seen is it's a can't miss show. So you gotta make sure you get out there and do your due diligence by seeing all the hard work that Miss Witherspoon and the cast and crew have put in. Spring sports are also off and running, from track to baseball, softball. Trap gets going here in a little bit, but it's fun to see everybody be outside. We're hopefully hosting, fingers crossed, a softball game tomorrow, which is crazy to be playing a home softball game in March. On top of that, we have a home track meet scheduled for Thursday, so pretty exciting times for us to be able to pull it off. And knock on wood, it looks like the weather is gonna cooperate for us, so it'll be a lot of fun. Next slide here. So I too wanted to be able to congratulate not only Adriana, but our wrestling program in its entirety. As Mr. Schlichting pointed out earlier, Adriana was the 2025 state champion. She's the 2025 Post Bulletin Girls Wrestler of the Year. And she wrestled all 3 of her matches at the state tournament in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So when each match is scheduled to be 3 2-minute periods, so 6 minutes, and she was on the mat for like less than half what a typical match would be. I really think that there's one word that describes it, and it's just dominant. I mean, to a generational level. Like I don't know if there is really words or anything like this that's happened before, especially in the state of girls wrestling or with our wrestling program here at Triton. What I think is also crazy is, we've pointed out she's only in 7th grade, but on top of that, she's only 12 years old. So she could be in 6th grade. So that's just flat out amazing, right? Pretty crazy. The last thing that I want to make sure that we point out just about our wrestling program is just the picture on the right, I think just speaks volumes to the connection that David and Adriana have. That was a pretty cool moment to see in person. But Adriana is incredibly strong mentally and has been mentored not only by her father, but by Coach Evian and the entire wrestling staff. I wanted to make sure that I could write a couple quotes or share a couple quotes with you guys. And so this is straight from Adriana. She says, she was asked about if she'd ever seen the state tournament before and how she'd been there a couple times, but she says, I was watching it all and I was dreaming of winning a state championship every single night. My coaches kept telling me, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't dream about it, it's not going to happen. Talk about putting something into the mind of a student and making them believe, right? On top of that, when all the pressure is on her, she's able to have this quote after winning a state championship. She said, "I just wanted to go out there and have fun. I knew my family, my friends were proud of me anyway, no matter what the outcome of the match." So when we start talking about transformational coaching, like that's what it is, right? That's what the point is. And so I just really wanted to show that her quotes embody the commitment to transformational coaching and building of a culture on which student athletes can pursue goals without fear of retribution. And Coach Evian has done an awesome job of that. Wrestling is a sport that has some negative connotations with the amount of work and the dedication that you have to have in order to be successful at the sport. But if you go into that wrestling room, kids are having fun. And I can tell you from experience, that's not an experience that I would say the typical wrestling program would have. And so just looking at the numbers, I'm just really excited about the position that our wrestling program is in, and I think we have the right guy leading us. And you know, when Adriana says that next thing she needs to do is win 5 more of them, you know, she's not wrong, but I think that she's in a darn good place to be able to do it too, right? So pretty awesome. We can hit the next slide. And then we talk about dominance, right? When we talk about a historic performance. And so Miss Goosens and the Triton BPA program is sending 13, but we qualified 14.
We had 14 qualifiers, then we had a 15th person who was a finalist who nobody above her took, so then she bumped in. But of those 15, 2 won national trips in multiple events. So technically it's 13 students, but 15
But 15
qualifying
qualifiers.
events.
We had 2 doubles, right?
Yes.
So the state, I mean, once again, we have state champions in 6 competitions. With a total of 10 students being honest, being an individual state champion or on a state champion team, had 15 total top 10 finishes, 14 national trip winners, which I think we just clarified, but just wanted to congratulate Miss Goosens and the entire VPA program. It's pretty cool when you can see Triton competing against the largest districts in the entire metro, and we're sending just as many students as they are to Orlando here in a couple of weeks. And I think that once again, it's about the experience that students have in that program. They're not participating in BPA because they get to go take a cool trip to Orlando, right? It's about the culture that Miss Goosens is able to create in the position that she's able to put them in order to be successful. And so just that level of care and attentiveness is what brings those students in. And it's awesome to see the lunch meetings in here, because there's a ton of students in here and they're working hard and talking about all things BPA. So that's a big shout out to you, Miss Goosens. Keep that up. So now one last slide for us here. Then the last one is just a record-setting girls basketball season. Coach Hammond and our girls basketball team set the single season school record for wins. They had a final record of 24 wins and 5 losses. On top of that, they set the single game school record for points with a 91-68 victory over Hayfield on February 7th. That day was a pretty dang proud day for I think our entire community. Number one, it was awesome. It's awesome to set the school record. It's even better to do it over Hayfield, right? So that just is makes you smile. On top of that, there's numerous individual records and milestones. But what I can also tell you once again is we have a head coach in a position that is leading student athletes in a way that makes them want to be there and feel supported with it. The relationships of that Coach Hammond has been able to build with all of the girls on our girls basketball team shows when they get into the late game situations. They believe in each other, they work hard, and they work harder for her because she's built those relationships up. And so it's cool when you can see all 3 of our programs that we've highlighted tonight, and we come back and we tie it together with what makes it go, or what's the one common piece between all of them. And it's the person that is leading each and every one of those groups is good at building relationships with students. And we have more than 3, but those 3 do that at a very, very high level. So any questions?
Thanks, Corey.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
7:23 principals reports.
Evening. Evening. Earlier, Mr. Jensen, Jim asked for some good news. I've got some good news. As of right now, we have 55 registered kindergartens for next year with 71 kids confirmed yes. So we just have some more that we have to get registered. So already before April, I can remind you that this year's kindergarten class is a total of 47. We already have 55 into the system with 71 families that have said, yes, my kindergarten is coming to Triton. So there's a little good news. To start off with.
Thank you.
Principal's report. Go ahead, Mr. Luther.
Hopefully we have some more good news for y'all here tonight. If you look at the pictures there's been a lot going on. It seems like this time of the school year, the weather turns nice. The students are outside for school activities. And then the school year just continues to go quickly, but we've had a lot of great things going on. The BPA group, I know it's been talked about a lot tonight, but I think from the administration lens, one thing that we really appreciate are students that are invested in our school and invested in student activities. And to see those students continue to work hard to have a goal and to achieve it, it's pretty cool to see, especially in our building here. So obviously, a number of individuals have put forth a ton of effort, but to Rebecca, the advisor, our students for just doing a fine job of continuing to push and doing a great job for Triton and for the BPA program. So thank you very much. One piece I wanted to call out and mention here, I think one of the best things we do here at Triton, we continue to improve this, is connecting the elementary school, our youngest Cobras, with the students in this portion of the building here. It's good for the elementary students. It also is really good for our older students. It provides them an opportunity to be a mentor and to support those students so they gain skills as well. So a couple of things we've had going on. Our nature studies course here, excuse me, Miss Horsch, they had some nature buddies. I believe Mr. Van Beek was at third grade. Third grade. So they work with them. Even though it looks really warm outside in that picture, that is, you might not know, that is a winter survival shelter there, even though it's really warm out. The next piece is STARS. That is done in collaboration with Dodge County Public Health. And I believe the acronym stands for Students Teaching About Refusal Strategies. So once again, Mrs. Horsch, her exercise physiology class, they went into, is it fourth grade? So proud of that. The next piece is Read Across America. You can see some students there. So obviously promoting that, but having our Cobras connect with the Cobras in the elementary school was a fantastic experience.
Yep, and I wanted to highlight one on the bottom here, the bridges. We've had this program, it's for our second graders, that's the Department of Transportation comes in, they run a program called Bridge in a Bag. So all of our second graders got to work hands-on and you can kind of see they make these bridges and the second graders actually crawl across it and they learn about different architecture across our state.
I can point out too that poster that says,
This one right here,
yeah, we know who that is now.
yeah, that's Adriana.
I have a few middle school pictures on there in that lower left-hand side. That top one is Miss Zwaska with her 8th grade science class, one of them anyway. And I just wanted to put that on there because it's always a great accomplishment when a teacher can make learning fun. And the 8th graders had a blast learning about the concept of force while having to drop an egg from the 2nd story of the wood shop room and make sure that it survives the fall. So that was a great experience for them and certainly a lot of fun. And then the bottom 2 pictures, you can see one of them, there's a bunch of students in our library signing a pledge. So that's a drug-free pledge, which happened after we had a speaker come in. The Steered Straight program came in and gave a presentation to middle schoolers. And the presenter, Michael DeLeon, I think it was, did a fantastic job, captivated the middle school audience, which is saying a lot when you get 200 students into the pack there. He's an accomplished filmmaker and author, but prior to that had a difficult childhood, which led to drug use, abuse, gang affiliation, and 12 years in prison. So he had a great message about prevention, specifically talking about vaping, which I think hits home for middle school and older students as well. So it was a great presentation. Also had one in the high school, and then we had a staff presentation after school that day too. So great assembly. And then the other picture there, you'll see some of our middle school staff dodgeball players. So I mentioned last time the dodgeball tournament, and we had a ton of staff that stayed after school to participate in this, and it was just a great event. Big shout out to Mrs. Nesseth, who really was a motivating factor into getting so many staff and students to participate in that. So, and thanks to our team, our parent team as well that put that on. So the staff won.
The final picture on the bottom right, last week, we had it scheduled for Thursday, but we saw the weather was coming, so we moved it up to Tuesday before the wet weather, but we took our kindergartners out to the Sugar Shack. Billy Cowell's place. It's a long-standing tradition. They go out there, they learn a little bit about sap and maple syrup and all that fun stuff. The kids were excited to get out there and see that.
This past week, if you were in the building, you saw it was Triton's week to host the Zed Traveling Art Show. I believe we've talked about this at meetings before. Look at this. We even have an attendee who made the board, Mr. Mason. Congratulations. So we had a number of students who had artwork displayed in the entryway here. So a nice tradition to obviously pay respect to the artists, not only here at Triton, the work that they do, but through across Zed. So a great collaborative experience we had there. So congratulations to our students that were in the Zed Traveling Art Show. Previously this month, we had a large number of students participate in the section solo and ensemble competition. These individuals, it's not an easy thing to do to perform in a small group or perform in front of a judge. But they did a tremendous job. So on this page here, you can see the individuals in our band and choir that earned superiors. And then the next slide, Mr. Schlichting, we have the ones that received an excellent. So there's a lot of them. It was hard for me to get all the pictures on there because we did a great job. But congratulations to our band and choir students and our directors, Mr. Witherspoon and Miss Dietz, for a job well done.
Looking ahead in the elementary school, we did have our conferences. We had 93% of all of our families of the 355 students that we have K through 5. We had about 328 conferences over the 2 days on Monday and Thursday a couple weeks ago. I mentioned the Bridge and the Bay and the Sugar Shack pictures. Coming up, we have our roller skating unit. I wanted to shout out, we had got a very generous donation from Sue and Dan Walsh again. So no students will be paying any money for that roller skating. It's about $10 a kid for the 2 weeks. They'll do that during their physical education time. A little bit longer, we'll do 50 minutes every other day instead of 25 minutes every day, just so that once they get the skates on, they have some time to skate around. Our team group also donated $1,000 towards the roller skate unit. MCAs are on the horizon. Those will take place in April. We start off with reading the 8th and 9th, and we have math on the 16th and 17th, and our 5th graders will do the science the last week of April. And tomorrow kicks off our Boosterthon fundraiser. We'll do that for a week. If we hit our goal of $15,000 that we'll put towards improvements in the media center with Mrs. Bradford, I will sleep on the roof of the school.
So if not, I just wanted to add.
No slime
not
this
if-
year?
Not if, but when.
The slime was cold.
Yeah,
You know that for slime.
the
to
roof will be
slimy,
cold
it
too.
was- Picturing a tent and a sleeping bag, and hot cocoa.
You're out there.
I'm not real fond of heights, but it's pretty flat out there, so we'll be okay.
All right, and at middle school, we had our conferences as well. We had close to 70 families that came to conferences, and that really is a very high turnout for us in the middle school. And I think part of that was we had some stations set up for 6th grade parents if they had questions about Eagle Bluff. And then 8th grade parents had an intro to high school meeting that night. So having those 2 events on that same night, I think helped a lot of them get to our conferences. And we had our book fair too, which was a good success as well. So great night of conferences. Talked about the dodgeball tourney already. Coming up, Eagle Bluff is this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm glad it wasn't last Wednesday for Eagle Bluff. So the weather looks great. 56, 57 for Wednesday, Thursday, and 74 for Friday. So should be a great experience for them. They're very excited to get going. And then MCAs, we have our reading on April 15th and 16th. Math is the 24th and 25th, and then science for just 8th grade is the 28th and 29th. So we're gearing up and setting our plans for that.
All right, I know we've talked about parent-teacher conferences. We had ours on the same night as well. Attendance in this portion of the building was down a little bit. I hope to continue to find ways to engage our families to make sure that we can have those important conversations at conferences. I know in visiting with some of our staff that said, yes, I was busy, and others, it sounded like it was a quieter night for them. So we continue to find ways to make meaningful use of our conference time. Midterm, hard to believe, to the midterm time for semester 2. So the last day before midterm is Friday, and then our staff have time to work on midterm grades on Monday. So we're moving quickly here. On April the 8th, if you've been on the board for a while and you remember from previous years, that's a busy day. We're doing a number of things on that day. Really, a lot of it is important, but really the main thing is the ACT day. So our juniors take the ACT or the ASVAB. They have a choice with that. Our freshmen go on a college tour, so they get to see a couple of places there. Our sophomores take the pre-ACT, and something I really appreciate about this day, we make sure that all of our seniors leave with a certification, so they have a time to receive that, the CPR certification. Because it does require so many staff to facilitate these many assessments. That's the school day on that day. Just a reminder for folks on the board, when students are finished with their tests on that day, they are excused. They do have an option to stay for transportation, or if they have some work that they need to do. We'll have some students stay for that, but the vast majority of students come in and do the testing and then they leave after that. And then when they're doing the CPR, they just report for that unless they have outstanding work or things that they need to do. We'll make sure that they have an opportunity to do that. Prom is April 12th. It's early, right? We're usually the week after that, but the Easter weekend is the week after that. So moved it up a week. It's coming quickly. So I just want to thank Christy Faber. She's the advisor there. She's done a great job. Also, we've had a committee that's worked extremely hard to make sure that we can provide an awesome prom experience for our students. So excited for that. It'll be here before you know it. The next one, April 14th, 3-hour lates. I know we've had discussion on those in here, and each 3-hour late, we've tried to do some different things. This time, on April 14th, Miss Myers there because she helps lead the process for our MCAs. Up here, we are doing MCAs on that day. So the students, obviously, it's 3 hours late. The school day starts at 11 o'clock. We'll have an advisory time. We'll go and eat. So we're going to switch the time with the middle school. So we'll eat first, and then they have the rest of the day to finish up their MCAs on that day on April the 14th. So lots of stuff going on, but it's been good. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
7:24 superintendent's report.
Yeah, just to update you on a couple things, boiler inspection is taking place tomorrow. The good news, the small boiler is down, but we're still using the big boilers. But we do need to get that fixed. So that repair is in progress. Another thing I learned today, you know how when you have your window replaced on your vehicle and the original doesn't sometimes have that little logo on it? The state has changed it so any tempered glass has to have that logo on it to be legal. So any of the bus windows, and Dave said we have about 6 of them, they all have to be replaced in order to be legal. Guess what? There's a shortage of right now in the state of Minnesota.
And the price went up on them.
Yeah, so he's not able to get those, but he did talk with the state and they said they're really not gonna enforce it until next year. So, but we do have to address that. The other thing is the HVAC scheduling. When we did our upgrade with the HVAC, SiteLogic has been kind of keeping track of the monitoring it for, part of the agreement was to monitor it for 3 years. There's a couple of fans that they feel are out of adjustment. So if we have, let's say like in the summer, we have daycare in a certain area and they adjust the temperature to keep it cooler. Dave's pretty sure that's what it is, but in order to make sure he's getting SiteLogic, Winona Heat and Vent and Dave all on the same call. So they're going to schedule that so they can make sure that we're all on the same page and make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Feel like it is, but they flagged a couple of the fans. Moody's call, Amy and I have a call with Moody's on Wednesday, so that's basically just a rating call because of the money that we're looking to possibly borrow.
Yeah, their rating basically just kind of affects maybe interest rates we might get or what we can borrow.
So we're doing that on Wednesday. And then lastly, the Business Expo is on Saturday. So any of you that would like to join me, you're more than welcome. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
7:25 other. There's no other. I would take a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Rebecca, second by Dale, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.